Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing another edition of my no pressure painting days. This time we're repainting an old work that I did a couple of years ago. I can't really remember the exact date, but the same goes for my last gouache painting. Today I'm not gonna put any pressure on me to make it look perfect. Just really want to enjoy the process as much as I can. So really quickly before I start talking about the painting, I started off by putting some masking fluid on top of the eye because I got a lot of questions about this, and I use it to preserve the whiteness of the paper. I just want to leave it blank for this time because I don't want to taint it with the other colors that I laid down initially. So yeah, this time we're using my Mijello watercolors. For my paper, I'm using my Baohong hot pressed paper. This one is gonna be different from other redraws or repaints because I really liked how this old one turned out. It's not perfect, but I think I still ended up with something that I'm proud of to this day, which is great. When I first made the old one, I had a clear idea of what I wanted to do with it. So this time is going to be the opposite. I have different art supplies and I have more experience with watercolors, but on this one I'm just sitting down without any idea of where I'm going with this. The objective for this one is really to just enjoy the process and see where it takes me. I want to talk about the Mijello Pure Pigment watercolors because these things are amazing. They're so vibrant and the colors just show up with the slightest amount of watercolor to them. I have heard from other people that they see this as like a bad thing because with watercolors they're meant to be transparent and buildable, and when you compare these to brands like the Sennelier ones that I also have, those ones are well loved for their transparency, but this one, it's just so vibrant and so much pigment comes from the slightest amount that it's hard to make them be buildable. Also because these take so long to dry on the palette that it's hard to get just the tiniest amounts of them. I know you're thinking, well, that's easy, just wait for it to dry, but listen, this one color, the lemon yellow, I feel like is still wet, and I left the palette open for the first week initially after I poured them before I just gave up and closed it without it being fully dry. But yeah, some of these colors just refuse to dry. And also they're just super bright and vibrant that they can get a little intimidating to some extent. I think that's also one of the reasons why I rotate between 4 or 5 of these colors. Some colors in this palette I just avoid because they're so bright and loud. Like some of these blues and these purples I never used at all. But in honor of my no pressure painting days, I have decided to embrace the vibrancy of these colors and make use of those bright colors that I usually avoid and just have fun with it. So here we are. I'm using a lot of greens, lots of yellows for this one, and even this nice little purple. I'm making a painting that is basically the opposite of the original artwork. So the objective for the old one was to make the line work take center stage and have the watercolors kind of be there to complement the ink work on top. But this one, I want the watercolors to be the main medium, I would say, and have the brush pen work be the thing that complements the painting. I really like making this very dark color with, I combined the green and some of the yellow with a purple. So this painting didn't end up looking like it had any purple on it, but it actually did for the shadowed parts. That's what I used to offset all that yellow. I think that that color is great for these very dark areas, just so it's not just plain black in there. On a side note, I love how easy it is to lift these colors, especially because I think the paper is also a factor. It's just so smooth that the color just lifts right off. I wouldn't usually do this. Usually I just lay the colors down and work with what I have already put down, work on top of that. But since I'm not playing by any rules today, I'm just gonna go ahead and make this as easy for me as I can. So how I lift my colors is I clean my brush with water and top the excess water off. And then I just go over the painting that I want to lift with my clean brush and then go over that with a wet wipe. It's so cool how easy it is to do that with these paintings, and I think I love them even more for it, because even though they lift very easy, they're not easy to reactivate, unlike with gouache. So now that I've lifted some of those colors, I can just go ahead and glaze over those parts with my yellow, and it just so shows up like a dream, and I love it. On some of these big areas, I'm using my texture brush that has this weird tip on it, but it's really great. I really love this brush. It's great for filling up big areas, and the feel of the bristles, it's nice and soft and it soaks up a lot of color. Right now I can't remember the name of it, but I'll put the name in the description. So when I started with this, I put masking fluid right over her eye because that's the only part of the whole piece that I want to preserve, because I'm making that area blue and I don't want any warm colors to be tainting that area at all. That's why I put masking fluid over it. So now I'm just taking that thing off and putting some bright blue in there. When I first started off with the line work, I used my Tombow brush pen for her face because it has a harder tip that makes it easier to control. That means I have more control over it, and I don't want to risk screwing up her face because on this piece it's the focus. But I did make a mistake with that because this isn't waterproof, so that means I can't go over that area with any watercolors after. And then you guys also see me adding some red accents to the face because I felt like she was blending too well with the background and I needed just a little bit of something to set her apart from it. I also used my Posca pen for the corrections. Helps me put some blank slate over some areas that I want to be brighter without reactivating the ink with the water because the first brush pen wasn't waterproof. I did continue the line work with the same brush pen that I used with my old piece, and it's the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen. I really love this one. It's so nice and soft and so juicy. Well, not right now, not before I refilled it with my ink. It did come with extra ink refills, so which is great. It seems so expensive, you guys, but the last time I used it was for that old piece over a year ago, so it's so nice and soft, but that also makes it hard to control, and I really feel like I need more practice for it, so that's why I didn't use it a lot. But yeah, just because today is my no pressure painting day, so I just thought, why not? This one is also one of my most intimidating art supplies, so I'm really glad that I have made this series in my head for myself, because otherwise I'd be too scared to use these ever, and they'd just be going to waste. So I'm correcting this part of the head so I can make up the shape of her head better. This time I used watercolor on top of the Posca pen, which I'm surprised it worked actually. I swear you guys, this kind of hair is the hardest to draw. With curly hair, there's a lot of circular wrist movements, which I'm more used to, and there's also a lot of breaks when drawing curly hair, and also when drawing straight hair, you really don't need to draw that many of the strands. So yeah, this sort of awkward in between is so hard to draw, especially with a brush pen this soft. It was such a challenge for me, but I did end up liking the results on this one. I can't say that I love it more than the last one, but what I can say is that I enjoyed the painting process for this one more than I did the last one. I guess just a little bit of an upgrade with the art supplies and a little more experience with watercolors really took out a lot of the frustrations that were there the last time. So yeah, I enjoyed this painting so much. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me paint it. Thank you for sticking out to this long, and I'll see you guys soon.